Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back on GT Sport and we're back with the daily race, driving at Monza in the Ford Mustang GR.3, the Group 3 GT3 race car. As you can see there, we're starting from pole position. We need to get away really nice and just try and get ahead of these guys behind us. As you can see there, we got some reasonably fast drivers in this race. I think we had another top 10 stars racer in this race from the qualifying leaderboard. I think that's in P2. I think he might have just squeezed into the top 10, I'm not too sure. But we had our first race, and this was a bit of a disaster. I ended up nearly wiping out VP Doffra. The slipstream in this car is just so strong, it just caught me out, and I had a bit of a bad race and lost a lot of safety rating. So we got back to S rating, and then we finally got our third race, this race, which was much cleaner. And you can see there, I got more into the rhythm of the track now. I got used to the braking points, and starting from P1, I knew I had to get away. You can see there, straight away trying to accelerate as hard as I can and get away. I wasn't worried about fuel saving, I just wanted to try and break that slipstream. It's such a hard track, and combination with this car, pretty much everyone using the Mustang, it's just the most powerful car pretty much in the Group 3 selection. You know, everyone will always go that at Monza pretty much if you want to win the race, because it's the fastest car. There are other cars that can compete here, but overall I would probably recommend the Mustang. It's going to get you the result that you want, really, if you can just tame it. As you can see there, we're just trying to push as hard as we can. You can see straight away on the Delta, as we come out the corners, we start pulling away, but then as he's coming back into the slipstream, he just gains and gains and gains. You can visually see it on that middle top camera that I've put on there, where driving on board with himself, you can see how his car is like falling back coming out the corners, and then as soon as his car's building up the speed for the slipstream, he's just gaining and gaining. He was gaining up to 2-3 tenths just on the slipstream. So it is such a strong slipstream at this track with this combination. I don't know if different cars slipstream off different cars particularly well, but this Mustang just gains so much in the slipstream. You can see it now. Look on that top screen there and how much he's getting closer and closer and closer. And look at the lap delta, it's gone from like 4 tenths down to 1 tenth. It's such a strong slipstream car that I just wanted to try and break it and just drive reasonably fast. You can see all I was really doing at this stage was doing a bit of short shifting. You can see it there from 4th to 5th gear and sometimes 5th to 6th gear early. You can see me trying to get rid of that slipstream. I'm snaking down the straight, trying to get rid of it from that slipstream, because it's frustrating when you know that you've got the pace to pull away, but the slipstream's helping people out in the race. You know, that is a part of racing, obviously, but I just wanted to break it. So you can see I went in that corner a bit too aggressive, but ended up countering that with a really clean exit from the corner. You can see I just braked a little bit more than I needed to, so I could turn the car better and then get on the power early, and I actually pulled away a bit there. You can see over half a second ahead, but then again the slipstream started to work and he's just coming slowly back up to the rear of my car. So it is really frustrating, but you've got to just deal with this and try and just maintain your concentration. I was trying to concentrate on the road ahead of me more than there was the guy behind, so what I was doing was paying more attention to the lap delta than looking back to see where he was, or in the mirror on that top right hand corner of what I could actually see. You can see I had a brief look there as he was getting a bit close, and I thought he was going to run off the track. It looked like he went a bit loose, but he was okay. We're still, again, we're pulling away out of this corner. You can see the lap delta's increasing, but then as soon as we're back in the slipstream, he's going to start gaining back up on us. So this is where we just got to keep our concentration and just keep putting consistent lap times in. You can see I'm just trying to push really hard. You can see this line, I was trying to go in a little bit slower so I could get better exit speed, and you can see the difference there. Look how much I pull away, and I actually went a bit too far wide there. I nearly lost control of the car as I was trying to really push the exit speeds. But again, we pull away coming out the exit, but then again he starts slowly coming back at us on the straight. And again, coming through this last corner, I was trying to do a similar thing where I don't worry too much about the entry speed, I just try and concentrate on the exit speed. And again, because I'm doing that, I'm running a little bit wide again, but we don't lose too much time there. It's not too bad if you run a little bit wide out of that corner. You don't tend to lose too much time, it's just maybe a tenth or so. But then going down the straight, you can see me trying to snake a bit, just trying to break the slipstream just so it's not as easy for him to hold on, and then I'm going to have to go a little bit defensive. It's just look how much speed his car gains in that slipstream there. But again, I hold the line, hold the inside line for this part of the corner, and then make sure I can get on the power nice and early. And again, we pull away a bit on the acceleration zone where the traction kicks in, and we're again getting over half a second. So you can really see what the slipstream is doing in this race. And P3's falling back a bit, even though we're having to drive a little bit defensive. He's falling back a bit from this top battle at the front, and I really need to start breaking that slipstream, because I pretty much knew that I had the speed to pull away from these guys if I could just get get away from that 1 second that you pretty much, it's pretty much dead on a second. I think the slipstream, past the second it doesn't seem to really give you any advantage in the slipstream. He's having a little look in the Lesmo, you could see on that top corner, but he was well too far back there. He was like nearly half a second back, so I really wasn't worried about that. At that stage I could just concentrate on the road, and if anything that's probably going to slow him down because he's compromising his entry into the next part of the Lesmo. So we're again closing in on that 6 attempts ahead, but just trying to really put some good lap times in. But at the moment obviously we're in a situation where we can't really concentrate 100% on our racing lines. You can see us moving about on the track, that's losing us time. It will lose you a tenth or so down the straights when you're trying to break a slipstream, but it also loses them time as they're doing it and then they're not getting your slipstream. But he's not falling for it so much, he's genuinely just trying to stay on his line a bit there. And again, I'm trying to get a good clean exit. As I could see, there was a gap building up. I was starting to slowly pull away at this stage. You could see visually the gap, but then again on this straight it's going to bring him closer as I'm going to try and like stay to the right hand side, then go back over to the left, and just make it awkward for him to follow the slipstream. He's trying to follow it, making sure I brake early obviously for this corner. I don't want to outbrake myself, so braking nice and early over the curb slightly, and then again I want to concentrate on this exit point. I seem to be able to pull away from a lot of drivers on this point, and he had a little error there where he's made a mistake trying to get on that power. His car's gone a bit loose, and that's give us a nice little break, and we're actually very close to breaking the slipstream now. You can see we're pretty much dead on a second ahead. It's just under a second, it's 9 tenths of a second, and now we need to concentrate on trying to get a nice clean entry and exit from this chicane so that we can start pulling away even more. We do that reasonably well. You can see the delta closing in on that full second there. It's not there yet as he's still just holding on to a bit of slipstream. Once we're out that slipstream I felt pretty confident I could start pulling away. We're up to 1 second now, so we're pretty much out the slipstream now. You can see it's 1.1 seconds, and now I need to really try and accelerate and try and break a bit of a gap for when we pit. I wanted to have a slight gap for when we go in that pit so that we could cover any fuel management that he'd been doing in that first stint. Obviously I've been doing the short shifting, as you can see on screen, when it comes to like the gear changes. This car's very effective at doing short shifting, as long as you don't do it too early. If you just do it, you'll see about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way on the gear changes, it maintains reasonably good speed and it saves you a bit of fuel. As you can see there, we've got that delta over 1.2, 1.1, 1.2 seconds now, so you can see the difference once we're out that slipstream and trying to concentrate on our racing line, and he's not getting the advantage of being in our slipstream. You can see that we're starting to very slowly pull away now, and it shows you just how strong that slipstream was down the straight now. As you can see there, we're 1.2 seconds ahead. Some of the gear changes he must be doing a bit better than I'll say. You can see he gained about nearly half a tenth on just the gear change, but then again on the end part we start pulling away, so it's just the different way we're changing gear. Obviously probably because I'm doing a bit of fuel conserving with the gear changing, he's probably going a bit more aggressive with his changing now because obviously he wants to try and close that gap up. Coming out of that corner, he gets a much better exit than he did last time, so it's staying around 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds, as we're just trying to make sure now at this stage we do not lose, don't get him back in that slipstream. I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to go in the pits and come out the pits without him being in the slipstream, so that's really important there. As you can see there, going through the chicane, we push really hard there again. He's managed to gain a little bit there. He's got very close to being back in the slipstream, but through the 2 Lesmos I felt pretty confident that I could gain a bit. He seemed to lose a bit of time on the 2 Lesmos whenever we came out the second part. In general I seem to get a better exit as I really try and get on the power nice and early there, and you can see the delta slightly going back up there, and it's over a second again. So it's pretty much staying around this gap. He's obviously pushing very hard, I'm trying to push really hard, trying to get back into the rhythm of obviously concentrating on lap times. After that first few laps we were doing a lot of defending. Going through this corner again, I wanted to concentrate on the exit speed rather than the entry speed. So you can see he gains a bit, but then on the exit, look how much I pull away. It goes up to 1.1 and it's close 1.2 seconds now, and it's going up and up and up. So it's really important to make sure on that corner you really concentrate on your exit speed rather than your entry speed. It will gain you more time over the full length of the straight. So going into this corner now, we're going to pit on this lap with 1.4 seconds ahead, so we've managed to gain about 2-3 tenths on him since we broke that slipstream, so that was really important. Going in the pits, now we're going to have a little look at the fuel usage. We've got 16% and he's only got 13% fuel, so we've actually managed to save more fuel than him when he was in our slipstream. That's what I was talking about, the short shifting. He's probably been saving with mixture and then gone really aggressive with the gear shifting when he's lost that slipstream, and that's given us an advantage in the pits now as we've come out the pits. And you can see we've got over 2 seconds lead from him now. So that was really good to know. You know, I broke that slipstream and also got an advantage when it came to the pit stop. So we're now 2 seconds ahead. So what I've got to do now is just try and keep concentrating on, you know, pulling out a lead and building that lead up. You can see through the first chicane I gained a bit more time again. We gained about 3-4 attempts just on the first chicane, where I really try and concentrate on getting the lines perfect and not breaking too late. You know, when you come out of that pits, I see so many people, you know, I've done it in the Renault Megane in the FI race, where you come out and you miss your braking point. So this time I wanted to make sure I braked reasonably early, give myself a nice clean entry and exit, and don't lose any time. And again, on that chicane we don't push too hard. He pushes really hard, but then again on the exit I gain time on the exit of the chicane, as he got it down to 1.9, but then we bring it back up to 2.1, 2.2 as we come out of the corner. And going through the Lesmos again, I'm fairly confident on these two Lesmos in this car. I really like the way this car handled through them corners. This isn't really a handling car, but on them two corners it really did suit them for the way the car handles. So I did like this car at this track, and that's probably why it's so strong, because the Corvette is a little bit slower in the straights, but it could probably beat it through the corners. You'd have to be really pushing the Corvette, I think, to match the Mustang around this track. And obviously you're going to go with the car that's a lot faster on the straights, because then it's easier to defend against other cars. As you can see, we're bringing that gap up. It's 2.1, 2.2 seconds, and then going through this final corner, I really wanted to get on the power really early and build more of a gap up to going down the straight. You can see I had a moment. So what I did when I had that moment, I lifted off the throttle and then just let the car just stabilize a bit before I got back on. I didn't panic too much. I just give it a bit of counter steer and lift it off. It did lose us, as you can see there, probably about half a second, maybe more, but it was really important to do that, because if I tried to just keep the throttle down, we could have been spinning around, you know, 360 degrees, and we would have lost that lead. So luckily we haven't lost the lead, and luckily for us he hasn't got in our slipstream. You can see there it was 1.5, 1.6 seconds, but he's not in the slipstream, and that was really important again, because I didn't want him getting back in the slipstream and being able to attack me. So luckily we've got away with that one. It was a little mistake. I just tried to get on the power that fraction too early, just to give myself more of an advantage going down the straight, so that we could pull out this, you know, pull a bigger lead. But we nearly got punished for that, but just about saved it. And again, you know, if that situation, the best thing to do is what I do there is counter steer it, lift off. Don't just try and power your way through situations like that, because although it is possible to do, the chances are, you know, you could have a big moment and you'll be out the race. So you can see there we're just concentrating again on our lines and trying to pull away. So we're just trying to build that gap back up again, and I was fairly confident I could do it. I knew I had the pace to do 1:47s around this track. You can see there TX3 Alon I think it is, or I can't pronounce the name properly, but I think he was in the 1:47.689s. I knew our pace in race pace was fairly similar. I'd had another race against him. He was a very good driver, very fast, and he was doing pretty much matching our times, but he was in our slipstream, so he was able to fuel safe. And he nearly jumped me at the pits. We both went wide into turn one. I got ahead, and then I made a stupid error that I got a corner cutting penalty in one of the corners, and he got ahead. So there wasn't much I could do about that. But it was a good race up until that point. But this race we were driving it much cleaner. You can see we're building that lead back up slowly. It's just slowly going back up. We weren't massively faster than P2. I think it was just a couple of attempts on average a lap. You can see it just slowly going up, you know, maybe a tenth or two a lap. And then I think once I started really going for it on that, I think lap 8 now, I really try and push this lap to build up more of a lead. You're going to see I really try and push, and also he makes a little error where he's tried to push, because maybe he saw the exit I got from the corner. I really nailed that corner, and he's tried to push and he's gone a little bit wide and he's lost a bit more time. And then I wanted to just carry on pushing on this lap to try and build up even more of a lead. So you're going to see going through this sector we're pushing as hard as we can, and now we're going to probably take that camera off in a minute. We're just going to leave it on for a bit until you can see that we're out of reach. But on this lap I was just trying to nail every corner. You can see there running pretty much perfect through the first Lesmo, second Lesmo, braking down into third gear, skimming the apex, getting on the power really early. It's really important to get on the power as early as you can on that second part of the Lesmo. It gains you so much time going down this straight with the extra acceleration you get. I think that was the one place that in our qualifying lap, obviously we did a 146.8, but we have done a 46.4 at this track in the past. On a previous, if you watch my video I done with the lap I did where I go through the track guide, that was a 46.4. and it was because we got that corner a little bit better. We really pushed the limits on that second part of the Lesmo, and you can gain a lot amount of time there. As you can see, this lap we've got the gap even further now. We're really pushing hard. You can see it's closing in on 3 seconds. We're up to 3 seconds gap as we've really pushed hard on this lap, and we're going to see what lap time we go over the line. I really wanted to get that fastest lap of the race because I knew I could do it. So going over the line, I take the straightest line to the finishing line, and we take that fastest lap by 0.010 of a second. So a thousandth of a second or something like that, we take it, and I was pretty happy with that. That's what I wanted to do, and we get away with the fastest lap of the race so far. And you can see the potential I had once we got into the rhythm. We've then got the lap, the gap's now over 3 seconds, and we're pulling away even more now. So we're happy with that, and I just wanted to now maintain consistency, try and keep some speed, and just make sure I don't make any errors on this final lap. The one thing I didn't want to do was throw this away. This is a track where I didn't really want to do too many races at it, because this is a track that destroyed my driver rating when one race knocked me down 26,000 DR in one race. So I wanted to get a good race out of this, and then that I was going to leave it. I wasn't going to do too many races in this track, even though I do love this track. But with the penalty system on GT Sport at the moment, it's a bit risky. You'll see, some people will lose a lot of DR at this track and SR. So once you get a few good races out of it, your best move, I find that I want to move on and concentrate on the next race that I've got to do. So this is what we did. We did this race, putting up another best sector there. We were purple through there, so we were already on for another really good lap. I don't quite hook this corner up as perfectly as we did on our lap 8, but it was a reasonably nice exit from the corner. I think we could have actually gone for a strategy without changing the tyres on this race as well, because we were pitting on lap 5. We could have probably gone to lap 6 and then just gone in for fuel and not bothered with changing the tyres. Because you'd have only had a couple of laps to do and you save like 3 seconds, it might have been a plan that could have worked. So if you ever want to jump anyone with this, the way they've done this race like this, it'd be a good ploy, because Monza is fairly nice on the tyres. It doesn't destroy your tyres very much, and you can see we actually take the lead by over 8 seconds, I think it was, from Rashid in P2. I think P3 and P4 had penalties that they had to take, so on the last lap they took their penalties, or on lap 8 it was, and we finished with quite a comfortable lead and a really good race. And I do enjoy that car at that track. That's my first race I've driven with that car. We have done the hot lap with it before, but I've never driven it in a race, so I was actually really happy with how easy it is to drive. It's not too hard with the traction control off. I found it pretty much stable, and again, another win for us, so I was really happy with that. And then we're working our way back up. We've now got our DR back to over 62,000, considering it was on 40, I think it was 44,000 or something like that when we got it all knocked off. We've done that in just over, about 10 days. So hopefully we'll get it back to that 75k, which we were on in the past, until all the disconnect issues and the other issues with the game. So hopefully we'll be back up to that maximum DR very soon. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed watching that video. I enjoyed racing that. It was good to get some pressure from a car behind in that first stint. I did enjoy that, having to go defensive and trying to break that slipstream. It's fun racing, and we'll be back with more of these videos very soon, and we'll be back with the FIA race as well on Saturday. So make sure you check out the channel every day for the GT Sport content. Click that notification button if you haven't already clicked it, so you don't miss any future videos, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, everyone.